of the publishing Persuasion. I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle, coming out in fall 2023. And I am here with the Queen of Christmas herself. She's a little happy little elf. Melanie Schubert. Melanie, how are you?
I'm so good and just on such a high after our chat just now. And honestly, I just, like I've said it before, but Pitch Wars 2020 class just does it better.
I mean, I am sorry to all the other Pitch Wars classes, but I have to agree with Melanie Schubert, and you will too after you hear this episode with the Nikki Payne, author of Pride and Protest, which will be everyone's favorite book of 2022.
I think so. Also, I checked and it was Margie's book that's shipped. I got overexcited, but it'll be next.
That's awesome. I love how you were just like, yes, your book's coming.
Ordered when I got my royalties payment from Gobsmacked, I was like, tra la 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 la, ordering all the books of our guests that were like upcoming or that I hadn't yet. So there's been like a wave of books coming, and Erin's came like right before her ep, and so I think I just was trying to manifest that this had already shipped.
I love it.
But no, it was Margie's book, which I'm equally excited about.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went to her signing,
Yeah.
which was amazing. It was so cool. Yeah, I think because Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things, her debut,
Yeah.
I want to say came out like during smack dab into the pandemic. We were not getting together for book signings.
Yeah.
So she had her signing and it was packed, jam packed. Yes, it was jam packed, full of people, and I kept giggling because I was sitting to myself, and I had just opened your reel, and so I was just like hysterically crying from just laughing so hard. And so I was sitting there giggling, and I'm sure Margie's laugh. Like she has this infectious laugh.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing her behind me, but it wasn't Margie, it was her sister. They have like identical laughs. So I was laughing at your reel, and then I was laughing because I was like, oh my God, that's Margie's. Like I was just a mess. I was like crying by myself.
I was gonna say, did you go by yourself?
Yes, I did. My daughter was gonna come,
Yeah.
but then she was like, oh, it's okay. Because I didn't know how long it was gonna be. It's a school night. So she stayed home, but yeah, I was by myself. I made friends though. I
I'm
made one.
so proud of you. It's really daunting. Like I've been to a couple things like that alone, and it's really daunting. And I still get hot and sweaty every time I go alone. Like,
Oh, I was hot and sweaty. And so Stephanie Garber was the host. And
yeah,
so she, did a great job of like asking Margie about the book. And she's such a fan of Margie's. And you could just tell, like, she's just gazing at her when I was like, yes, gaze away at the Margie Houston. And then Stephanie asked Margie, what book are you looking forward to coming out the most? And Margie's eyes like shot to me, and I was thinking, oh no. And she said, actually, Angela Montoya is here. Angela, stand or raise your hand. And everybody's eyes went to me, and I started sweating. My cheeks went red. I was like, and I just went like this.
Oh.
And she's like, I'm looking forward to her book. And I was just, and I still feel red about it, to be honest with you. But it was so nice for her to brag about me, and as she should, because she helped.
I was gonna say. That makes me so fucking happy. Like, that's worth getting like embarrassed and sweaty over. And you know what? That's a good friend and a good mentor and everything. And those people at that event might be at yours next. You know, like
You never know.
that's a fairly glorious moment to get that shout out.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was, yes, it was great. I'm honored, but I was also
Yeah.
fairly sweaty.
Yeah. There's only going to
But
be
yeah,
more sweat, so just gonna have to get a really great deodorant.
I think you're right. I'm just gonna have to make sure to wear clothes that are tight against my
Yes,
armpits.
100% breathable armpits and black armpits if you're feeling really overwhelmed. Because
This
we
is
all know
practical advice.
it is. And we all know that at a point, deodorant only does so much. So if you're not wearing a dress that doesn't show it or like a top that doesn't show it, it's going to be, then you just have to, and there's nothing, no sweat marks shaming because we all sweat, you know, we, we
We
need to celebrate
absolutely
the pit stain.
no, not yet, but I'm in a sweater. See, I was ready.
You were ready. You were ready. I'm so impressed. And yeah, it's so daunting going to those things alone, but so worth it as well. Because I bet as sweaty as you were, sometimes it's something I've had to learn with my anxiety and panic attacks as well, that sometimes that hot, sweaty feeling that like can be attributed to being something bad. It can be exactly the same when something ultra good is happening. You know, it's like
Yeah,
your body
yeah.
telling you sometimes that something magnificent is happening. And I would say that's a fairly magnificent moment, one for the memory books.
I love that. I love the way you just took that, Melanie. You just ran with it.
Well, afterwards, did people come up and talk to you because you'd been
No, I was out. I got my book signed. I said I'm out. I didn't like my brain. Maybe I probably should have ate, but my brain was like, let's go. And
always
because I could have, huh?
always eat. It's a rookie mistake. But I get so nervous. Often don't eat before those things. The best thing to eat is pizza.
Hey, I like that. I like the way you're thinking.
I
You can
always
never go
eat,
wrong.
yeah, try. I always eat junk food before going to bookish events because I get so anxious sometimes. And I find I can't stomach like a meal, but like something about like just a few slices of pizza with like pineapple and shit on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you already know exactly what I'm talking about. And like you're just like, yes, get pizza,
Yeah.
wear something you're not sweated. Like there I I always like you see people who are just very great socially and they're just out and they're calm, cool, and relaxed. And I'm like, how do you do this? How are you not incredibly awkward and sweaty? But there's just sometimes you just gotta embrace the
Yeah.
sweat.
And you know what? Some people think that about me, even still, even though I'm very open about my anxiety and stuff. And to be honest, sometimes that is me because I'm constantly pushing myself into those scenarios. Some beautiful, rare days, I rock up and I am misconfident and I'm not feeling sweaty and I am really happy to be there. And those times I'll lean into it and I'll push myself a little harder. I'll try make a friend. I'll try chat to someone, but there's plenty of times where I'm like, I'm in there, I view the event, I get my book signed, and I'm out. Same. Like it just depends what the anxiety levels are like. But I think even just going when you're an introvert and like, and that would have been really overwhelming being like called out in the middle of the event. So yeah, like you had a ticket to run, you know? But I would say that more people are nervous than we know. And I would say that people will be constantly surprised that people like you and I are that level of nervous sometimes. But it will get
Mm-hmm.
better as well. The more you do it, I promise you, it does get less panicky. It gets more, you still have those moments for sure, but it's It's less and less every time. Like how when we started the pod, man, I would sweat like that every episode at the start.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
now I'll still have moments during the, like even randomly today when we were chatting with Nikki, and I was like, I randomly got hyper nervous because I was like, I like her so much. And then I felt nervous because I was like, well, now I want her to like me. And then naturally, as soon as you think that, you start acting like a dickhead. That's the way I usually go. I'm like, I meet someone, I'm like, oh, this person is so cool. And then I act like a dickhead. And they usually, it always works in my favor. They either love it and we're friends, or they hate it and we're not.
And that's okay because they're not your people. I can never imagine you though. And here I am being one of the people that can't imagine it. I can't imagine you being a dickhead. Like I can't yes, I can be. And it's not because I am, I just my words come out very wrong.
Same.
Oh, and my face just looks like a dickhead.
You mean like bitchy? Or do you
Wait,
mean wanky?
that came out very wrong.
Penis face. I was here for it.
I just got this visual and it just went south. It went really bad. I had one of my friends, and she was like laughing about the reel that you made. And she was just like, oh, I can imagine you guys like living near each other. She was like, the hell you two would create. I was like, yeah. So maybe the universe knew it had to keep us oceans apart.
But then we're also both introverts. So we'd probably be less painting the town red than we'd think. It would be more like, hey, shall we like come over for coffee and do like well, actually, that is crazy. I was like, a reel with the chickens in the backyard.
It would be like once a year.
Yeah. We would be respectful of our introvertedness. But yeah, I think people would think that same thing about you, that you seems always so calm and like collected. And I know, like I've said that to you before, it was one of the things that drew me to you, that I thought that about you when I met you, that you were just so calm and confident and like, and then knowing that like, yes, that is a part of you at times, but a big part of you as well is a sweaty introvert. And I felt seen. I felt seen because, yeah, it is definitely like, it's definitely something that I think will be a lifelong struggle for me. Like the two different sides of, because I can be both. I can be like the loud person in the room, and I think the older you get as well, there's like hard won confidence. Even if I'm not naturally extroverted in certain scenarios, and if I'm not naturally confident, I'm 35. Like I've had a little bit of life experience. I remember going back to uni as a mature age student and like feeling it for all the reasons I didn't expect. Like I was the only one who would ask the professor questions, like it was like, just even if I was nervous of doing an oral presentation, I still knew I could do it. Like I would just be like, let's just get it over with. I already know I'm going to feel nervous and sweaty doing it. And you get used to challenging that.
Yeah. I I love that you are constantly like trying to get your like not get better, but like do better and feel your body and understand it and just being like, well, fuck it. That's just how this bitch is working.
Yeah.
And and fighting through that. I think that's a beautiful thing and something all of us introverts unfortunately just have to fight
Yeah.
through. But I will say this, we are great people. We're great. And I maybe that's
We are.
I just gotta say it. And I think that's why we don't need to be out and about so often because we find ourselves so interesting. And just
But I know what you mean. Like, I'm not one of those people. Like I've had friends when I was younger. I don't really have friends like that anymore. They constantly had to be doing something. And it's like when you're really young, you think that that's a desirable trait. Like, wow, they always making something happen. They're always going somewhere, rah, rah, rah. But like more and more, I realized that like sometimes, not always, sometimes people who always need to be on the go aren't comfortable with sitting with themselves. And like
Mm-hmm.
when things are quiet, what does the quiet hold for them? Like having been through all my mental health stuff, I kind of was like forced to an extra level to just like sit with things. And like, you know, at one point in my life, just getting out of bed was the hardest thing ever. So when you're like constantly having to fight for every little inch, it's become like my weird little superpower because I, at one point, would experience the same level of panic attacks and anxiety just buying my morning coffee that somebody else would if they were dropped out of a plane without a parachute. That's how my body would react, just
Wow.
getting my morning coffee. So I was
Wow.
like, well, you either sit in bed and you like shrivel up in a ball and die, or you go get your morning coffee. But the thing is, you spend a few years like that challenging jumping out of the plane every day. And suddenly, all these things that used to seem so terrifying, you're like, well, I've been jumping out of the plane every day, motherfuckers. So, in a weird way, it made me like weirdly unstoppable because I was like, all the things that I used to freak out about, I was like, well, bring it on. I already know it's going to feel terrifying and scary. And so everything can be terrifying and scary. So, you just go. So in that very weird way, I know some people hate that being like it grateful in a weird way for their anxiety disorder, but in a weird roundabout way, I am because I don't know that I would have challenged so much. I don't know that I would have found so much of myself without having to fight so hard for it. Not that I would wish that pain on anyone. I would have liked to find myself without that side of things, but yeah, there's some things that this bitch had to learn. And yeah, randomly I digress.
No, but I really love that we can have these minutes of just chatting like this on here because I feel like so many people will be able to kind of see themselves in you and learn from you because you really are like this wealth of knowledge, and it's not just like you preaching, oh, do this and that. I'm living this.
Mm.
These are the things that I'm doing that help me. And I always learn something from you, like every time we speak, because you have the goods. And that's why I'm so happy that we have this podcast, because you get to teach us all a little bits, little here, little this and that. I mean, I know you had Nikki on the ground at the end there with your glass blowing knowledge, but
You'd be
it's true. And
surprised.
I think this podcast, what?
I was just gonna say you'd be surprised the number of times I screenshot like Netflix for a quote or like a K drama or something. A quote will come up and I'm just like, stop everything and I'll screenshot it because I just the words move me.
That's amazing. I love that about you. I love that because so often I'm like, oh, that's good, and then I'm like, moving on. But you sit with it and you learn, and I'm working on that. Haven't gotten there yet, but I like listening to you learn, and maybe I'll get there eventually.
Well, I don't know if I'm
So
worthy of
yeah,
high praise, but I'm grateful that we are able to have those conversations as well because it does make me feel heard and seen as well. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad that it's a space that we both feel like we can talk about that stuff and one of the reasons I talk so openly about it is because once upon a time I was very anxious early 20s and very anxious early tween that too teen who had
all of it.
no idea what was wrong with her. And so I promised myself that like I would be very open about my stuff even when it felt uncomfortable because if somebody could hear that and be like, oh, I'm not alone, like this, I can feel like this on the, especially like I have such a soft spot for, again, people hate the word high functioning anxious types, but I don't know another word for it. Like people who just go about their day and they're doing this thing and they're like flying to anyone else. It looks like they're just unstoppable, but inside their body's on fire. They may be living with a lot of pain inside, and not just from mental health stuff, but that can be like very physical inside you as well. How panic attacks, for me, it was very physical, how it manifested, a lot of pain in my body. And yeah, so I like to speak about it very openly so that if anyone else does hear that, they're like, I'm not alone, like this is a thing. And you can kick its ass. You can live with it and have a fucking fabulous life. Goose is crying again. She's like, you've gone on for too long.
Goose has been feeling it today. She's been get that water bottle. Get her. Goose has been feeling it. She has been just howling like praise of all the things that everybody's been saying today. She's been in the zone.
She's been in the zone.
What can you
thank you for saying all those nice things. I don't really know how to like react when people say such nice things, but I'm glad.
This Nikki mentioned this as well. You've got to take the good. Got to accept it, own it, right?
I'm grateful that all my overthinking monologues and whatever is useful to more than just me. How have you been this week? We went like randomly deep and on tangents. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been really good. What have I done this week? Oh, so we completely finished like my edits with Bria this week, my editor. And so it's off to copy edits. And I know so that it was like one of those moments I took like our own advice and I sat with it for a second. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yes. Like
yes.
I made it. And so, and I know obviously it's going to come back and I'm going to have to do so much more work, but I made this first big step.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm celebrating that. Woo! And then, woo! And then we worked on like my author bio. And so we did that and I sent that to her, finished off my acknowledgments, my dedication, like these big things that I've been thinking about for years. Like I did it. And I think the acknowledgments was probably the hardest thing because I don't like we've talked about this, but I got it all down.
Yay.
And so it's all sent out. And so now I'm just going back to book 2 and working on that. And like I feel good. I'm excited. I'm really loving this new book. I think it's gonna be fun. So that's what I'm up to. And both my kids are reading books today. So that's really fun. I mean, this book that we're here to talk about today,
yes,
Pride and Protest, written by the Nikki Payne, who we have on today. Nikki Payne is she is a firecracker. So I know she's writing one hell of a firecracker book.
100%. Everything I read about it, everything I hear about it, I'm just like, we are going to gobble this up. Gobble it up. I don't know why I said it twice and the second time sounded very exy.
It did. It came off a little much. It came off. I'm ready. I think that's how the readers will react to this book, though. They're gonna be just ready. Let's read a little bio of Nikki and get her on.
Nikki Payne, by day, Nicole Kerlock, is a curious anthropologist asking the right questions to deliver better government. By night, she's Nikki Payne, dreaming of ways to subvert canon literature. She works at Facebook as a qualitative researcher and has a PhD in cultural anthropology. Bring on the Pride and Prejudice retelling queen herself, the one and only the glorious, the aesthetic glasses queen, Nikki Payne. Here she is.
Yeah, there she is. There she is.
Dun, dun,
Miss Nikki
dun.
Payne.
It is Nikki Payne.
There she is.
Rename myself
There
because
she is.
here comes
Welcome.
my government name showing up. Like me.
Your glasses are glorious.
You know what? Thank you, ma'am. I have an entire obsession with glasses. It started when I or after I got LASIK, actually. I have like perfect vision. Okay, I'm just out here fooling people. But I realized that after I got LASIK, I didn't like look like myself, or I didn't feel like I looked like myself. And so I started like playing around with all these glasses, and I was just like, at first I hated them, and now I'm just like, this is my face, honey. And so now I just like throw on any kind of glasses that I want, like whatever vibe.
And you know what? You look good in every single pair.
Yeah.
Ma'am, how are you? How are you?
How are you?
Yeah.
How are you?
I feel like this is just such a long time coming because I have just been low key, just creeping your vibe since Pitch Wars. You know what I mean? I have just been just on the right on the edge, like, what's she doing? What's she talking about? She's so cool. Look at them. Yeah, that's been me.
Well, right back at you.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you are so fun to watch on all of the reels that you've been doing and just like hitting all of them. And every single time you mention your book, I'm like, oh, I cannot freaking wait.
Oh my gosh, me either. It's like coming. It's coming.
It's close. I feel like this could be fake news, but I feel like Book Depository emailed me that mine has shipped. That sounds like premature, but I'm like, did that happen?
Oh my gosh, I have all of these copies and I'm just like, what do I do? How do I give them away? I'm just going to start like becoming like Santa Claus with my own books, just like giving them to libraries and doing all of that.
Do it.
Yes.
It needs to be out there. Everybody needs to read it. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
From your mouth to God's ears.
You know what you can do if you have a lot of spare copies? Have you heard of the book fairies thing?
No.
Look it up. It's really fun. When I had my little indie book, I did it, and it's a good promo thing, and it gets a lot of traction on social media as well because there's a community around it. And I think Emma Thompson did it when she was in the Little Women thing, and the new book came out, and she did it, and then it was like everybody's like, oh my gosh, the book fairies. You just get stickers and ribbons, and you leave books in like token places. So like you could leave it in a cafe somewhere, and you leave it with a ribbon, and like, if you found this book, tag me in it. It's a gift for you, blah, blah, blah. And it's just a great opportunity to like have more like a natural promotional thing that people get excited about. So look it up. I really recommend it.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Now you have to do it. And then we'll just cyber stalk you and go hunt for it. We're flying out to your hometown.
Please do.
People do. I had a few people who went looking for them.
Oh my gosh, a scavenger hunt.
It's gonna have to happen. Well, Miss Nikki Payne, let's get into more about you. And I mean, we already know you are a fashion icon. Okay. So tell us, you know, I mean, there's no denying it. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
A little bit more about myself. I am a anthropologist. I am super curious about people, about life, and how they make themselves and how they make their own life. And oftentimes that includes technology. Sometimes that includes love and who they choose to love. And I've just always been a lover of stories. I love to be told stories, particularly love stories, but any type of story. And I think that's really the hallmark of an anthropologist, is that they can sit and listen for hours on end, right? And that started my kind of love affair with books, is just sitting and reading and going into these other worlds and being transported.
I know. I read your bio when we were setting this up, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I am thoroughly impressed with everything about you. It's Just amazing. We will read your bio ahead of time because people need to know. But people need to know and understand. But have you always wanted to be a writer?
I have always wanted to be a writer. It started with just like forcing my little cousins to read little. Okay, let me tell you what the gateway drug is to writing. I used to play Barbies like extensively. Like
Me too.
okay, so like you understand, like there is like you have to get that story just right. So there could be, perhaps I was playing Barbies well into my teens. I can't be sure, right? And I was still like having to build these very complex storylines that my poor and unsuspecting little cousins had to follow to the T. Honey, boom, cat, like hit these lines. And I just started writing all of these scenarios and it started off as these ways to imagine my Barbies to like live these complex lives. And then I was just like 17 and I'm like, honey, move away from the bar. Like maybe you can just write it down without Barbies. And I just started writing and just telling stories to myself, really.
I love that so much. And I love, as a fellow, I played with Barbies well into what people would consider too old. And yeah, it was these elaborate storylines. I feel like I knew I was getting too old for Barbies when the Barbies were getting married and it was getting a little X-rated.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, and it's because we know that Barbies had no business doing the stuff they were doing. Okay?
It's true. I feel so seen.
Yes, honey, you're seen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, that's cracking me up because, well, we couldn't afford all the Barbies. So a lot of my kins, I had to make them kins. I had to cut off the Barbie's hair and
Same.
Hey, we did what we had to do. We made do.
What? That's so funny. Like there's this dearth of kins in the Barbie world. I absolutely use my brother's like not like same size, like little like Stretch Armstrong. Like I was definitely Stretch Armstrong and G.I. Joe. Like there was a dearth of kins in the world. I think we should just talk about this. There's a new article. It's just like, who did you kin? It tells a lot about you.
So true. And when we finally got a Ken, it was like a religious moment. We were like, what do we do with an actual Ken in the Barbie house? It felt perverse. I'm not gonna lie.
Let me tell you something. The feminism leaving my body when I got a Ken. I was just like, sir, this house is yours.
It's true. It's so freaking true. I got who was it? Joey from New Kids on the Block. Or no. I got one of the New Kids on, that's gonna date me, but I got one of the New Kids on the Block, and he was every girl had a little bit, Hey.
Oh, I know.
You know.
If you know, you know.
You know. Oh my God.
Is everything to me.
I'm glad to be here. This is extremely fun already.
Yeah, but it's very relatable that like I didn't even think that when people always ask where did you start as a writer, I didn't even think that far back, but you're so right. Like the elaborate kind of stories, these entire plots and lives that we were creating, like where does that even come from? Like it was very creative. And yeah, and I think that I chose to keep playing Barbies longer because my friends in high school going to the club, and I was like, I think I'll just stay home and like still stretch out this childhood a bit longer.
Yeah, that's real.
I know we all met through Pitch Wars. So was being a mentorship, like being a part of a program, what made you want to do something like Pitch Wars? Because I can guarantee your writing is flawless. So what made you want to jump into a mentorship?
Oh my gosh. First of all, thank you for saying that, because what immediately preceded Pitch Wars was an avalanche of just like, no, you suck, like into the, so I started off like, I would call myself before before writing Pride and Protest, I was like, I'm an Afrofuturist, and I just write this like sci-fi that's just like super cool, and of course there's romance. Like, come on, right? Um, and I was just like, I love this. Everyone's gonna love it. I'm just typing away, and I'm sending it off to agents, and they're just like, honey, please sit down. Sit down. You're not ready. This is a no. And I just got so many no's, got so close and so frustrated. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch my comfort movie. Obviously my either 1995 if I'm really low, right? 2005 if I'm just like medium low, right? Pride and Prejudice, and I'm just gonna sit and like be transported into this world. And one of the things that I absolutely love, of course, is Jane Austen, right? Just I've read her since I was such a young child. And I just started writing these characters from joy and just started enjoying my writing. It was like playing Barbies again. I was just like, ooh, what's gonna happen? And like you like mix up the characters, like, let's make him black, or what happens if these people are, and to see what changes, to see what stays the same. It started off as this kind of experiment and joy, and just like, I'm tired of getting rejected. I'm going back to writing stories for myself. And then it was like a couple of days before the Pitch Wars, the deadline was coming up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna submit my super serious sci-fi because I'm a serious person, even though I had this really fun manuscript that was already written, but I was just like, that's just for mom, like that's for me. And I just this last minute idea, I submitted the other one. I submitted the fun one, and it got accepted. And it's literally from there, it's just been like super picked up, and people really resonated with it. I think it's because I did it with so much joy.
That's it right there, right? Like it was the thing that brought joy and happiness. And not to go back to Barbies. However, what I love about writing, especially I want to say like for people of color, now you get to switch up what Barbie's looking like, right? You get a Ken that you get to choose, and a Barbie that you get to choose that maybe looks like you or your family. And I just love that we're getting Pride and Protest, which is you're switching up the characters and the backstories, and it just gives me like all the feels and excitement and goosebumps, because it's the book that brings you joy, and it has people of color in it, and so many other people get to read it and fall in love with these characters. And so I am excited for you.
Oh man, I hope they fall in love like I did. I love those sexy dummies. I really do.
They will. And making a project that's full of joy like that actually comes across in your reels and stuff. Like every time you post your reels, it's so full of joy and just like, I need this book now. There's few reels that make me like chuckle out loud, but yours are some of the ones that make me like, I just like, oh, it just hits those notes.
I love it. I love it. It's I stay, close to the goofy edge, because that's where I find joy,
And did I read right that it's a bit more spicy, the spicy end of things?
Let me tell you, don't gift it to your grandmas, unless granny is down, but it's like not, like my mother was like trying to share this all with her like church friends, and I'm like, sorry, mom, that's not a look. You're gonna get excommunicated. There are a lot of pieces in that book.
Oh,
so
yes.
Yeah, the spice level is it depends on what, I mean, honestly, there are people who would just call their spice level very mid, and I respect that. But it's definitely not like 2005 Pride and Prejudice. They're doing more than holding hands in that,
I was gonna say, it's not gonna just be like a flash of her ankle.
No.
Him.
No.
We're not getting the hand flex. We're getting a little more with the hand.
Oh, come on. That was perfect. That was excellent. Just
That's
like eggplant, peach emoji. Like that's I mean, that's the skill.
Yes, thank you for this. Actually, yes. I feel like the world needs this.
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I know most people know, everybody should know Pride and Prejudice. It is the best of all tropes and books. Can you give us a little synopsis of your story?
Sure. Okay, so I mean, let's say that Pride and Prejudice wasn't your, comfort watch, and you want to forget all ninth grade required reading or anything about ninth grade. Like, let's forget it. Like you've never heard of Jane Austen. Even so, I think what I love about this book is that it offers the chance for two people. First, Lisa B, right? She's a DJ in DC, the only DJ who gives a jam, right? And she wants to be heard. She wants to be seen and heard, and she wants her pert opinions understood and like kind of heard around the area. And there's this opportunity when gentrification is a big issue in Washington, D.C., when a developer comes and really is trying to demolish these homes next to her. She sees this as an opportunity for her to be heard and finally a real cause to get behind, because as much as she loves being a DJ, she's very mission driven. She wants to be like, doing these like really idealistic things, and these things that actually my main character Dorsey has already done, right? So she happens upon this party, and she meets this person outside who's very well dressed, and she wants to enlist him into her, like into her cause, and she mistakes him for a waiter, and that is the beginning of their bad blood, because Dorsey is this Filipino son of this white family that is constantly misunderstood and misplaced, right? And it was just the exact right type of insult, for them to not get along. And what happens after that is they have to decide and determine what it means to kind of keep it real with themselves and with their community. And I think they end up finding some third middle way.
Sorry, my
Right.
dog's just crying in the corner. I don't know if you hear.
Oh, he's moved.
Yeah,
Oh, your dog. It's amazing.
I feel the need to tell people when she does that, because she doesn't like do a normal dog bark. She's like,
she was feeling it. She was in her heart. She was like, "Thank you."
It sounds freaking amazing, and seriously, I can already feel the angst and the yearning and that heat of like misunderstanding and like the debating banter. I feel it all.
Yes. There's like a touch of Only One Bed called Only One Nap Pod. And there's a lot of like forbidden, I'm not supposed to want you. Like there's a lot of that in there, which is, my favorite subtrope of enemies to lovers. And it's just, it's one of my favorite things to write and see my characters go through.
The best tropes, all of them. They're just all put right into it.
Oh yeah.
What made you want to like do a Pride and Prejudice, like, what is that word? Pride and Prejudice
Retelling?
Like thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Please allow me to get nerdy. Let me put on my
Please do.
So, like I mentioned before, I'm an anthropologist, and I was originally doing research on aesthetics and power, and like how people attach notions of beauty to notions of like money and like what it means to be wealthy. So, for example, back when the world was really heavily agrarian, like weight and girth on women was very, very attractive because it was associated with, not having to do hard labor and farm work, right? So all of this to say that I was reading this article on dating apps, and essentially what they were finding in the dating apps is that Black women and Asian men were much less responded to in these apps, right? And it was like wrapped up in a lot of our cultural notions of like who gets to be this, feminine damsel and who gets to be this brooding masculine person. So even as I was writing Pride and Protest, I knew that I wanted those characters to inhabit those like archetypical, like if you can think of just like one romantic brooding hero and like, you know what? I'm gonna make him Asian. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna make him this Asian male and make him the savior, the super romantic hero, the super ultra kind of masculine brooding person. And then I'm gonna make Lisa this desirable, enigmatic, charismatic woman, right? That is like kind of embodied in the archetypes of Elizabeth and Dorsey. So it was like very on purpose, you know, that I kind of raced them in that way. But I wanted to write that story. I knew that I love revamping and retelling stories and myths. But I knew that I wanted to write them in that particular way because I was always interested in like those notions of like of desire and oftentimes racial hierarchies, right? And those like sexual hierarchies are oftentimes just as constructed as racial hierarchies, right? And that's not to say that I was like attempting to take any of that down or writing the book, but it was definitely on purpose.
On purpose. That hits it right there.
Yeah.
On purpose. And yes, I had chills just listening to you because yes, I felt on purpose, like you did it very strategically and with a point, and it shows. And
It's powerful. It's powerful and important, and I just think it's going to be amazing. And I definitely think you have to do the book fairies thing. It's very on brand with this like this line of, especially since the Little Women thing, it all ties in. It's
Oh, Melanie, I'm definitely doing it. Like say less. I'm on.
you have to. Now you have to. So it's official. Now, would you say you're a plotter or a pantser, somewhere in between? What is your writing style? I mean, I'm sure it changes, or maybe it hasn't. Maybe you've always been a certain way. Tell us a little bit about how you write.
If I want to finish, right, then I have to be a plotter, but I'm like this weird kind of plotter. It's okay. I've been in debates with some of my critique partners about whether this is pantsing or plotting, but I sometimes write down to the scene exactly what has to happen, like the moment that this person wears blue or something like that, and then within those subheadings, I just promise myself that I just have to write 500 words inside of that, just like whatever comes to me, 500 words on this theme. They're like tiny little writing prompts. You know what I mean? Like you wake up and it's just like, what color is it today? And so I end up writing these tiny little vignettes of like, okay, so this thing has to happen, and let's see what that looks like. And so I try to write inside of those scenes, and then I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And then you start to like kind of shift and move and like let the vibe take you. But I do that kind of meticulous structuring first, and then I just kind of go wild inside of the parameters of that structure that I've set for myself.
Yes, I love that idea. And it's kind of relatable to like what Angela and I have kind of landed on, which is doing almost like just a skeleton beat sheet, but it's got those main beats. And then you kind of like have a bit of the backbone, but the flexibility as well. But that sounds even better, like having that 500 word block broken up in, is that into chapters? You break it up?
No, even smaller than chapters, scenes, vibes.
Yeah.
You know, like these are things that have to happen, right? And sometimes that will end up being 2 or 3 chapters, or a little piece of a chapter that goes off into another section. But scenes oftentimes like aren't, you know, like they're like things that kind of have to happen in this way, you know? And so I like to break it up in scenes and then let the chapters kind of figure themselves out, which is, you know, probably something that people are going to roll their eyes about, because I'm just like, chapters, one chapter's 5 pages, the other one's 20. What do I do? You know, so this is something I was nicked on all the time, but I'm just like, let the scene do the scene. Like this scene is a vibe. It's weird to add the extra thing to it. So we'll see how that works out.
Hey, going with vibes. We're going with all vibes. I'm here for it. And I've been, I mean, as we've been doing this podcast, we always find that everybody has their own individual way of how their brain has to work, and kind of how, you know, everybody's brains need certain things to feel more productive or to be opened up. And so it sounds like you've found that special sort of thing. It might not work for everybody, but it works for you. And that's all that matters, because we need pride and protest. And so finding these ways to segment it, I think, is like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's been working for me.
That's that's all that's it.
Do you do it on your laptop, or is it like one of those wall things where you like, you know how, are you one of the people I've seen with all those sticky notes on the wall?
Oh gosh, I wish I would. I just feel like my writing would be just like chef's kiss if I just use Scrivener. I use
Yeah.
Scrivener, and they just like have these folders, and you can separate those folders out into any kind of wacky organization that you'd like, and I just move them around. I exclusively write in Scrivener.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I can't do Scrivener.
No?
I maybe because I just don't know how to properly use the damn thing, but like I learned Word and that's all I can do.
First of all, you have to be a real G to just open up a Word document and just like, let me tell you something. You have just told me everything that I need to know about you, is that you go hard in the paint, okay? Like, you are so serious that you just crank open a Word doc, you know, keep that cursor blinking, and it's just like, crack those knuckles and just go. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, the way that, what I love about Scrivener is that, like, they just let you, like, you know, fuck around a little bit, just like, hey, do you have a character here? And you just like make these pictures and you draw these little, you know, like little areas of like, this is a setting, blah, blah, blah. Here's a outline. You want to follow this? And you can just like get in there and mess around a little bit before you're even writing. And you're just like, I'm writing right now, you know? And so you don't even have to like, but Word is just so unforgiving. Like, you open it up and it's just like, bitch, what? Like, it's just staring at you like, come on. Like, you do the work.
I like a challenge. What can I
Look,
say?
you told me everything I need to know about you. Okay.
I feel the opposite. I bow down to you. I tried Scrivener. I really tried. Like, I got a demo and everything, and it just felt like this big complex thing. And like, I'd just be like, where did that go? I would put something somewhere. And I'm like, where did I put it? I didn't know where it's gone. What does this break mean? What is this? There was like too many tabs open for me.
Yeah. I hear that. I hear that. That's interesting, is that, you know, it felt like sometimes when I open Word, it just feels like, you know, like have you seen that movie Interstellar? Where the guy's just like out in open space and he's just like, hello, you know, and you're just like floating, and I'm just like, I need this tighter. I just need one little universe to focus on, this little file, and then, you know, I can move on from there. But yeah, Word is, that's daunting for me.
See, again, we all work.
Yeah.
Serious.
Hats off.
I love it.
What would you say has been like one of the most difficult parts for you through all of this?
Oh my gosh. I think believing that it's actually happening, and that like people are going to like your writing. And I think you guys both as writers, Melanie and Angela, like, you know, that writing can feel intensely private and like just for you. And there's this piece of you that when you turn it over to someone, that you're expecting them to go like, ew, is that your kink? Or like, feel like, why do you keep breathing in like that? Why are they breathing so hard? You know what I mean? Why is there, like, you just expect it to be about like judgment and antagonism. And when someone like returns a book back and they like love it, sometimes it's hard for me to internalize, you know? I'm just like, yeah, you liked it, but what was sucky about it? You can tell me, you know? It's almost like you don't want to buy into it, like you're waiting for some shoe to drop. And that's, you know, something I've been talking with my people about. But yeah, I think what's hardest for me is just like accepting that this is a thing, that this is happening, and that like people are going to read it. And you know, if you're not going to believe all of the negative and all of the positive, you can find some space in the middle, you know?
That's it. I think I have to say, writers have to be some of the bravest people, because you really are laying yourself bare and basically putting your heart on a platter for the world to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And the world is not a very nice place, but like to actually, and it's interesting to hear, like sometimes it's harder to take in the good because we're always so used to the negative and the punching down. And so like learning to take in the good is also something that we have to, is a struggle, right? What has been the best part of your writing journey so far?
Oh my gosh, you're looking at it like community. Oh my gosh, like having these other people who are like doing this weird thing with you that you can turn around and gut check and you're just like, am I crazy or is this, like what's happening? Um I feel like I would not have been able to do the things that I've done without a strong writing community. Pitch Wars was essential in that.
Yeah.
Like Pitch Wars, like yes, it brought all these agents like to my attention and all of that, but more than anything, it brought a community down to bear on like any one of y'all. I can just say like, hey, is this happening to you, or what does this look like, or how is that? And then everyone just comes together. And to me, that's like the infinite value of Pitch Wars. Is the infinite value of this journey is bringing people along with you.
Yes. Oh, you gave me chills and you made me teary because I 100% agree. And something that I continue to find, like with our class members, because we always, it's basically Pitch Wars 2020 podcast.
Yes.
Forever. That's like
Right?
every time I talk to another member of our class, I'm struck not just by like the drive, but by the authenticity that I feel from like the willingness to be vulnerable. And it's something that when I first came into the industry, I've experienced the complete opposite, like very shrouded, very mysterious, very like scarcity mindset people that I encountered. And so I agree, like finding Pitch Wars people who just so open, so authentic and vulnerable has just been, yeah, it's a hard thing to do. There's a lot more no than yes. There's a lot more failure than success. And we need those people who are just like, no, bitch, you're fucking talented. Keep going. If it wasn't this book, it's the next one. If this one flops, it's the next one. Keep going, and your people will find you. And so having that early on in the process, like pre-agent, pre-publication, is priceless because it keeps building and growing as we go, that beautiful community.
I mean, you said it beautifully. That's precisely it.
Yeah. Yay, Pitch Wars. We wish it would come back for the future writers.
Let's come back.
I feel like it'll come back. Come on. Somebody's going to pick up the mantle. Somebody will pick up the mantle, surely.
Perhaps you all. I believe the children are our future.
We'll think about it. We'll think about it. I'll pray on it. One question, because I see our time is like evaporating.
Yes.
Looking back at all you've accomplished, what advice would you give a younger version of yourself before you started this wild journey?
Oh my gosh. I would tell myself, be patient. Nothing has to happen while you're in your 20s, but your life. Like nothing has to happen at a certain time. Nothing's over if it doesn't happen when you're like 25, So I felt like I had given up on writing like after 28 for a while, because I'm like, even though I still obviously like wrote and tinkered, but like the drive of saying like I'm gonna be a writer, I'm just like, nah. I mean, I'm 28 now. What's after 30? Who knows? So I just had all these really small beliefs about how it would look and when it would come.
That's it right there. I can really relate to that, having like a very specific view of what it would mean to be successful as a writer. I actually have a screenshot on my laptop that I like to look at all the time. And it was from a glass blowing competition on Netflix. And it just,
yes, I've seen that show.
Yeah, I love it. And somebody just said to win at art is to get to keep making your work every day. And I look at that quote whenever like I'm feeling unsure about my journey and whatever. And I'm like, I get to write. I've set up my life in a way. I get to write every day. I get to create every day. I'm already winning, you know?
Are you kidding me, Melanie? My mind is blown. To win is to be able to keep going.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Isn't it? I've got it up on my screenshot, and I'm like, when I'm having an emo day, I just read it again. I'm like, bitch, you're already doing that. Just calm yourself, be patient, do the work.
Oh, that's a revelation. That really is. It's revelatory. I love that.
You're gonna have to tattoo that right on your chest.
Right? There's so many that I've screenshotted that I'm like, I need to get that as a tattoo. I'm just going to be covered by the end of things.
Oh my gosh. We have to have an entire separate meeting of like tattoo stories, because that's another thing that I love to hear from people. Just like, tell me your tattoo.
Well, we're going to have you on again. I see our time has just evaporated to the wind. I don't know where it went, but it has just been glorious having you on. Seriously, so much fun chatting with you. And yeah, we cannot wait for your gorgeous book to be out. Everybody listening, get out there. Pride and Protest. What's the date? You can still pre-order.
November 15th, 2022. You can still pre-order now.
It's happening. She's got a book coming out. She's got a book.
You can't see that. You can't see.
We are so happy for you. We are so excited for you. We just love you, and we will have you on every time a new book comes out. We want you.
Please do. Please do. I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay, good.
We'll talk all the exy Barbie stories, all the all the racy scenes, and
seriously, I could sit and do that for hours.
I'm in red and you're in green.
Ho, 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 motherfuckers!
Oh, motherfuckers. It was meant to be. We were feeling it. We were feeling the Christmas vibe.
We are festive as fuck. I love it. Yeah, I didn't even realize, but now that you've said it, it's all that I can see how festive we are.
We're so festive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we think we are funny.
That's all that matters, right?